With spring comes a new edition of the Everything Electric show in London. And this time I went all in on test drives. I drove 8 electric cars back to back in a single day. And that was not just any EVs, from Tesla's latest updates to the fire-breathing Ioniq 5N, plus fresh releases like the Ford Capri and the MG S5. I got behind the wheel of some of the newest models on the market. But which one stood out, which felt like great value, and which left me unconvinced? Let's break it down. These are my first impressions of all 8 in the order I drove them, and at the end I'll share a quick recap table with price, range, efficiency, and of course the one I'd personally take home. In the meantime, drop a comment below. Which one has caught your eye? Let's go. We're on board the Tesla Model Y, new model. Let's see how it feels. We've done the mirrors, that was kind of fun, but not really. Yeah, the whole thing about doing everything on the screen with just a couple of buttons, yeah, maybe. At least I can adjust the mirror myself, which is much better that way. Okay, one thing that's very clear is that the seats are super comfy, and that's one of the manual controls you get here, so that's fine, that's good. Well, at least you've got spokes here, which is not a bad thing. Okay, so how do I know? Oh, is it supposed to be 30 max, 20 max?
Speed.
What's the limit here?
Take the second.
Wow, okay. Yeah, the acceleration is really good. Yeah, okay, very quickly you get to your 40 miles per hour maximum. It is pretty quiet. I don't need the music.
In 500 feet, enter the roundabout and take the first exit.
I mean, one thing that's quite clear is that this is great quality in terms of the display. That's fantastic over here.
500 feet.
It is pretty smooth, the interior is nice, you've got all that velvety thingy. Yeah, I can see why people get kind of in love with their Teslas. Okay, wow, and you get the definition on the camera over here. Pretty impressive. Right, so the Sealion that's just ahead of us looks pretty good too, actually. Not sure I'm otherwise that tempted by the BYD cars, but I think it's a good shape. Right, so how does it feel? It feels very good. It's actually not bumpy, not as much as one might have expected. At least in the driving position, it's just a bit sporty, it's nice. You've got good response from the steering wheel. Yeah, it's really hard to criticize the car when you look at that. You know it's going to be efficient. I mean, that's the thing I'm not going to see over here. Yeah, and you can see it here. It actually is quite massive, but it doesn't look bad. Okay, we're done with the trip. 4.6 miles, 252 watt-hours per mile, whatever that means. And you can see the others were 270, 303, and on very long drives as well. So that gives you a good sense of efficiency on this car. So what's the verdict? Very quiet, very smooth, does not feel like the big car it is. It has plenty of the luxury and the comfort that you need. And as we know, it's well positioned on price for what it offers. It's also typically quite efficient. So if you focus on the car only, and that's pretty hard, I can totally see why it remains a key reference. Next up is the Ford Capri. I was really looking forward to trying out this latest tech on the Volkswagen MEB platform, and I wasn't disappointed. Much like the ID range, the ride is smooth and composed. It definitely feels like a big car on the road though. The interior is a step up from what I've seen in the counterpart ID models, and I count it as a win that Ford has used its own screens. The driver's display is sharp and easy to read, and there's plenty of boot space too. I managed 4.0 miles per kilowatt hours on the shortest drive. All in all, it's a solid option if you enjoy bright colors, the yellow really pops, assuming the price is right and you're not too hung up on whether it truly deserves the Capri name, and of course, if like me, you appreciate the fact it's a 5-door coupe slash hatchback slash sportback style. Ioniq 5N. What can you say about a car that's already on its way to becoming a legend?
I didn't manage to capture as much footage of this one as I'd have liked, but a few things stood out. If you want to use it for your daily commute, you absolutely can. It still has all the core EV traits we've come to expect from Hyundai. Tap a button and you've got a speed limiter, the paddle switch to controlling regen. But flick the mode switch and things get playful. The car comes alive with game-like sound effects and an entirely different character. That said, a 40 miles per hour dual carriageway isn't exactly the ideal place to show off its full potential. We looped around the block, we had a brilliant chat with the Hyundai rep, and still squeezed out 3.3 miles per kilowatt hours on our short drive. The car's long-term average over 1700 miles was in the mid-twos, so it's clearly been driven with intent. I would love to get this on a proper racetrack one day, but clearly that was never on the cards here.
We are in the Volvo EC40 and it's incredibly nice in here. It's very quiet. I like the ride. I don't like the tiny screen. We'll see whether we like the efficiency. I don't think we will like it. But that feels like a premium car. Very nice.
Take the third exit onto Atlantis Avenue.
There's very little to say about this car, it just feels good. I like the proportions as well. Again, don't like the screen, that feels a little bit outdated, but the platform is good, it's Android based, and what you get in front of you on the dashboard is super clear. It's pretty easy, it's pretty simple. The bump just now was okay, nothing amazing. This was the double motor, so we're not gonna get the best efficiency anyway. Yeah, very little to say, I really enjoyed that ride. And we finished the ride at 250 watt-hours per 100 miles.
So now we're on board the MG S5 and it's a good feel at the start. It's not luxurious, but it's good enough. It's good enough. It is actually quite a lot of improvement compared to what we had seen first in the MG ZS EV and then afterwards in the MG4. I think the interior is still a little bit plasticky, still a little bit of a choice, but not bad at all. Not bad at all. The kind of fake leathers, etc. are kind of gone, so much better now. So we're going to take a look at the efficiency. We're going to take a look at how it feels. Not quite as plush as the EC40, but still pretty good. So you get to choose your driving modes. You've got the one pedal drive. If you're not in one pedal drive, you've got 3 or 4 modes. That gives you quite a bit of choice. The 2 screens are pretty good. How good is the map? Well, don't know about that. It's not Google. Looks homegrown, but yeah, might be okay. Might be okay. It seems smooth enough anyway. Right, the sport mode has enough oomph. That's nice enough. Yeah, that's fine. That's more than fine. And for now, we'll check out the efficiency at the end, but if it's truly 4.2, 4.3, you know, that's very good. Very good for an MG, I think. Because that's not a small car. Of course, at these speeds today, we're not really testing the shape of the car. It's more the weight and the efficiency of the engine and the suspension and all of that. But the shape, you would need to be at a higher speed to see any difference on that. So the test of the bump, how does that feel? Yeah, I mean that bump is anyway pretty hard on most cars. And again, yeah, well, that's not the best. But I don't know that there were any cars today that can handle it. Maybe the Volvo was the best this time.
Right, so we are finishing our little tour. We finished at 4.6 miles per kilowatt hours. Previous testers were just at 3.7, so quite different, but a really good result at 4.6. So that's a brand new car and a really impressive one. And I think MG has great chances to see another success there.
is now the Omoda. I didn't think I was going to try this one, but why not? They actually look very good from the outside, I think, especially like the white one, and there is this one on display with a bit of a handmade job. So that's very good. Let's see how it goes. I mean, weird position in the car. I was almost touching, the head was touching the ceiling because of this big glass roof, the sunroof. The interior is not the best. The combination of kind of hard plastic or pseudo piano black without being black, to be compared, of course, with the great Volvo C40 or EC40 as it's now called. All right, so we get plenty of bips. Classic. Right, so I don't think there's too much to write home about in this car, I must say. It's okay. It's nothing wrong, but again, there's nothing exciting. I don't think the wheel is particularly exciting. I don't think that, well, the efficiency is not bad, but, you know, 3.9 miles at the same time we're going very slow. Yeah, I just don't see really the benefit. There are so many good cars, I think. That's the main point. There are so many other great options available that this one, it's tough. It's tough.
So I guess you heard it. It didn't win my heart, this one, and we finished at 3.9 miles per kilowatt hours. The second to last test drive of the day was the BYD Sealion 7. And for this one, you're only getting the post-drive shots. This particular model was the top spec version, and it's clear that it leans heavily into creating a sense of luxury and interior comfort. The ride quality is solid and the seats genuinely plush. I appreciated the Volvo style gear selector, although I'm not sure what the rotating screen actually adds. Stepping out of the car, it felt like a strong contender for the shortlist, but of course, its final ranking is going to depend heavily on where it lands price-wise, and also I wasn't impressed with the 3.5 miles per kilowatt hours, although of course we're looking at the dual motor version.
Okay, we're now in the Tesla Model 3, and already you can feel that the seats are not nearly as comfortable as on the Model Y. Quite different already from that perspective. Okay, crisis averted. Just needed to do a bit of tuning on the seats, or a bit of adjustment on the seats, because it was almost breaking my back there. There's something very tight, but all good now, all good. Right, so how does it feel? This thing is massively fast when you accelerate, there's no question about it. Yeah, it's a rocket.
In 500 feet, enter the roundabout.
In fact, is it that much more noisy? Is it noisier than the Model Y? Not sure that much, actually. It might depend on how good the quality of the road is. Right, so the infamous turning indicators, that's pretty bad. I do appreciate that you can get used to it. Probably. Yeah, that bit is very annoying, I must say. Right, the whole bare bone, nothing in front of the eyes, just this big screen. I don't know why it didn't bother me as much this morning, but now it kind of does. So the results are out, and it's quite clear this car is fast. It's not exactly new, it's the dual motor version, but still, that's pretty impressive, and the ride, the comfort, everything, that's very good, right? So it's just the button thing, which is very arguably not that nice. Right, and now we do the classic test, the bump. Yeah, super well absorbed actually. Compared to some of the other cars today, much better. So that does work pretty well. Alright, we're about to finish at about 200 watt-hours per mile. Not sure what that is in watt-hours per kilometer, but certainly not a lot. It's probably in the 130 or something like that. So that's pretty amazing. But yeah, very, very good. Again, this is where the Tesla got their reputation. You know, before they got other kinds of reputations, they used to be brilliant cars. I think that just demonstrates that.
So we finished on a high with a test drive at 4.8 miles per kilowatt hours, and it's 3.8 for the long term on this car, which must have been pushed quite a bit, frankly. So the quick fire test driving is done for today. It's time for the recap and for the rankings. So first of all, let's show the winners and the losers on the efficiency during the test drive. Well, without surprises, the Ioniq 5N finishes last, and once again, a Tesla Model 3 wins it. It remains really hard to beat on efficiency, and that was despite us going on the dual motor version here. The S5 was the odd one out because it achieved 4.6 miles per kilowatt hours, which is really good, but that wasn't what my predecessors hit. Then the Sealion was also quite disappointing, and the others were all typically around the 4.0 miles per kilowatt hour, which on a kind of slow urban drive seems okay. Now, what does EV database say about efficiency on those cars? And I mean the versions I would choose rather than the version I tested. Well, it's actually pretty similar. The Model 3 is well ahead, and then you shift everything a little bit to the left because this is not a urban test anymore, but more an average across different sorts of driving styles and roads. Before we call out the arbitrary winners and losers today, I just want to remind ourselves of the prices we're talking about for those cars. You can see you've got two pretty affordable cars, at least by today's standards, and they are the MG and the Omoda. Of course, again, at the other end of the spectrum, an Ioniq 5N with the kind of power it gives and its kind of racetrack readiness means it's quite an expensive car. Now, a bunch of those in the middle are actually not necessarily the best value for money, but then that's where Tesla does really well, I think. For completeness, I'm sharing here what EV database says about range, but you can see it's not really a problem with any of those cars. Now, who wins today and which one of those EVs would I happily take home? Well, first, I think the MG S5 wins in the affordable category. It is an incredibly sensible proposition at this price point. It does all the things you'd want in a compact SUV package. And the look and feel is better than past MGs. I suspect it will do really well. Then, of course, we've got the what is the EV benchmark category. And you know there that the Tesla remains the package to beat on so many dimensions. It has effortless efficiency, has value for money. These are just good cars to drive, etc. But the fact is that we are still driving those Model Ys and Model 3s, even though, of course, they've been refreshed, but it shows some limitations of that brand. These are cars that are anyway too big for many folks, and that would include me. And that's beyond any wider concerns on the brand. So the one I would happily take home, and you may be surprised to hear, is the latest incarnation of the Volvo EC40. I would happily see it on the driveway for a few years. It's not great value for money, but for most people it will be down to the leasing deal you can get anyway. It otherwise has a great shape, it's great to ride, it has enough on the infotainment even though it's a little bit outdated, and you'd be just happy to get in and drive that car. It's just nice. So that's really it for today. I hope you find that somehow useful. If you're in the market for a car, any car, spending 10 quid to get a feel of what's available at the Everything Electric show, I think is a great opportunity. There were more cars not available to drive, but at least equally interesting. So let me know if you'd like me to put the footage together. But for that, I think you need to show a little bit of love with thumbs up and comments, because it's quite a bit of work. Otherwise, I might just go sip some piña coladas in the sun. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.